Hey, welcome back. If you've been hanging on and you've been on the last live video, here's a new live video. So I'm Brad Poirier, the television host of The Wellness of Being with Brad Poirier. I'm also a certified happiness, life, and business coach. So we're just going to wait for our guest to come on. So if you're on and you see this live feed, make sure to say hi, that you like it, and join. So make sure to watch. So yeah, I see Sandra is on. So Sandra, you're there. So hopefully now this will work. So we're going to add you again, and we're going to see what happens. So maybe some magic's going to happen. So tonight's topic on our Facebook Live is about manifesting your dreams. So if you're on, say hi. I'm your host, Brad Poirier, the host of the television show The Wellness of Being with Brad Poirier. I'm also a certified happiness, life, and business coach. Our guest tonight is Sandra Saradesi, who's an intuitive healer. And we're going to talk tonight about manifesting your dreams, about emotions, about happiness. So right now I have Sandra. We're just adding her on. It's taking a little bit to add her in, so we're going to see what's happening. Okay, so then I believe she's here somewhere. So I'm just going to start to add her in again. I'm not sure what happened. So we're adding her on to see if she's here. So thank you for everyone who came back from the last live feed. Okay, so now we see Sandra again. So hopefully this time it'll work. So Sandra, can you hear me and can you see me?
Both.
Perfect. So we don't have a black screen. So this is what manifesting your dreams is all about. So she was on a vibration. She wanted to be on the live, Facebook, and I wanted to be on the live Facebook. So we manifested because our vibrations were the same. So for everybody that's watching, so I just kind of hear a little bit of interference, I think, on your end there, Sandra.
Interference?
Yeah, there's a little bit of interference.
Hmm.
It seems to be clear now, or if you have a headset, but that's okay. Um, but I seem to hear you fine now, so it's wonderful. So for everybody watching, so I'll get you, Sandra, just to kind of tell a little bit about yourself, kind of the things that you do, and then we'll kind of get into manifesting your dreams. And if anybody watching has some questions, make sure to put in the comments below, and then we can kind of answer them for you. Yeah. So I'll let you, Sandra.
Oh, thank you for
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah.
thank you for your patience. But part of the manifestation program is stay put, stay still.
Hmm.
And about myself, I like to say one of my favorite practices is fluidity because the hallmark of
Okay.
mastery is fluidity.
Hmm. Yes.
And
I guess
I always
always
trust.
going with the flow, not getting frustrated, just accepting the moment, being mindful in the moment, and just I guess accepting everything
Yes,
as
and
it comes.
also, yeah, also I was tuning into what was the universe teaching me
Hmm.
through this 1 hour and some that we've been trying to connect live with our audience. And
Exactly. Hmm.
so it seems to me that we had some sharing of density, some sharing of
Hmm.
expectation, some refreshing, some resetting of the button.
Of course, and I think in life, I think that's important too, because we all, and one thing we're going to talk about tonight too, especially is about emotions. Because I know, especially with us, like literally, and Lisa's on here as well, and Lisa and I had some issues with the not quite as much as we had tonight, but trying for over an hour to get on so we could have this show for you guys. But that's the sort of thing. We had an expectation, but I think that happens in life as well, where you think something's going to go a certain way and it doesn't, and all these emotions start to come up in you. And I know Sandra knows a lot about this with her Egyptian oils and with her healing that she does do, to help you, and kind of where these emotions come from and what they're all about. Because it's the same, if we're putting expectations on things, we're probably going to get disappointed. Do you believe, Sandra, that to be true?
Absolutely, absolutely. Is we are at a point where we have to definitely set expectations about life, about what the day is going to bring us, what the neighbor, what work's going to bring us, what our family is going to bring us. The only expectation, if there is, it should
Hmm.
come from us, from ourselves.
Yes.
What
Hmm.
are we expecting to do? And also be fluid and be in the flow with what we expect from
Hmm.
ourselves, because it's a heavy suitcase to carry
Hmm.
expectations.
Yes.
So we were expected to be at 8 o'clock. Is what we're in timelessness. There is nothing that is late or early. It's only divine
And I
timing.
guess that's what it is. Like, what is what is, except the moment. And yes, so it's a little bit later. It's almost 9:15 when we're supposed to start at 8. But I think anybody watching now live, this is the message you're meant to hear, right? Or if you're watching the replay, it's the message you're meant to hear. So I think the people that are interacting now are the people that are supposed to be on, and to hear what we have to say, or hear just what comes out of these moments. Because basically, I think with us, like you, we're both flow. We don't have a scripted things to say. It's whatever comes through, whatever we're vessels of, and whatever message has to come through. We're the messengers for that, that needs to be shared. And we when Sandra and I were talking, manifesting your dreams came up, emotions came up, happiness came up. So those are the things we're going to mainly concentrate on tonight. But I'll let Sandra now expand a little bit, kind of tell somewhat a little bit more about yourself, what you do as an intuitive healer, and exactly kind of just a direction that we're flowing in tonight.
Well, thank you, Brad. I feel that it doesn't matter where I start tracing or drawing. I always go back to the center of it all, which is silence,
Hmm.
inner silence, the silence of the mind. We can only manifest in silence, and there's so many steps in between the silence and the final outcome of manifestation. And I actually went into the dictionary of manifestation. What does manifestation mean?
Hmm.
And manifestation, according to the dictionary, is it's and it could also say a manifesto is what you declare, what you
Hmm.
express. So first of all, manifestation only comes from a clear
Hmm.
intention, and a clear intention only comes from a silent mind.
Hmm.
So silent mind comes from having dealt with emotions, with our inner turmoil or our unresolved
Hmm.
issues. So it is so important to be in the stillness of the moment, because the moment brings us so many gifts and um, so many treasures and gems. So the moment is always speaking to us of a new gift,
Hmm.
like all these moments put into one moment of so-called waiting. There is no waiting when we live in a flowing and fluid
Hmm.
universe. So in between the layers of the flow and then between the layers of the fluidity, there are the whispers of a stillness
Hmm.
in between. And it was for us to gather at this time. There were people that came and left and whatnot, but in reality, we never left, we never came.
Hmm.
We all in the same tapestry together,
Yes.
because every stage makes for the whole big
Hmm.
masterpiece. What can I say? It is important, and I would say it is imperative
Hmm.
that we take control and charge of our emotions, or else our emotions will drown us.
Exactly, exactly. And I think with emotions too, emotions are very fickle. So you can't always even trust your own emotions. Because if you get something or a thought or a feeling, um, and as I say, it may just throw your whole entire day. You're having a most wonderful day ever. All of a sudden, you get this kind of negative feeling from something, if you act on it without knowing all the facts or the truth, and then you could totally change a situation or change even your thought process, or start to spiral down if this negative emotion starts to pull you down. From, if you're feeling happy, now all of a sudden you're feeling sad, angry, unfulfilled, disappointed. Are you really? Is that your set expectation? Or is it fact that somebody actually did something, or it's what you perceived and thought they did? Right? I mean, so there's lots of ways to go through it. But I think with manifesting your dreams too, yes, you have to be in a place of stillness, but that, I believe, can be done. Sandra, would you think through meditation or through yoga, or do you have any extra kind of thoughts on that? Like, because I think to manifest, you also have to be willing to receive as well.
Absolutely. So there, as I said, there are many layers and many steps from the silence of the
Hmm.
mind into the final process or product, which would be manifesting our
Hmm.
dream. Um, I also recommend what is the easiest before yoga, before sitting in stillness. It's very challenging to sit in stillness and think about nothing, because then the more you oppose a thought,
Hmm.
the more you will attract many thoughts.
Mm.
So I always recommend to be in touch with nature.
Yes.
Nature is absolutely the best healer ever.
Hmm.
And if you can walk barefoot in nature, and the forest and the grass,
Hmm.
connecting with the primal energy of Mother Earth,
Yes.
that it's absolutely the most you can
Hmm.
connect, and you can silence your mind in a much graceful way.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, and then too, being in that solitude, being in nature, being in, I think, and you can listen and learn from the trees, the animals, how everything interacts, how everything gets along. Um, and I think it's, yeah, it's being one with the universe. And I think too, like you said, if you can walk on the ground, that's part of, say, like grounding. So it gets you more grounded to the earth. So if you tend to be out there, by grounding yourself to the earth and being one with its energy, I think that really helps as far as keeping you more stable, keeping you more balanced, keeping you more grounded. Because sometimes you need to go into nature just to get rid of the stuff, get rid of some of that energy. Myself, I live near a beach. And it's great in the summer when it's nice and it's warm. I can go down there. I can spend hours just in nature, just enjoying the surroundings, just sort of walking around, letting my stuff process. But something else we're going to talk tonight about is happiness. So I'm going to let Sandra enlighten you now on happiness, what it's all about, where it comes from, how can we achieve it? Is it naturally there, or is it something that you create?
Well, happiness is it's another product. Imagine you're walking into a store,
Hmm.
and it is also available along
Hmm.
sadness. They could be actually on the same shelf.
Oh.
So it is for you to pick.
Hmm.
It is actually for you and for me and for us to pick. What is it what we want to take today? Are we
Hmm.
committed to happiness? Or are we committed to a life of misery?
Hmm.
So it is an art, it is a choice, it is an attitude, it is something that we must cultivate. It doesn't just happen.
Hmm.
It's a decision we make every moment.
Yes. So how would somebody, if they don't even know, their life has been crap, and they don't even know what happiness is, how would they choose it if they don't really know what to look for, if they're in a low vibration state?
Well, thank you. That is such a valid point, Brad, because many of us, I like to say of us, even though I'm not part of that equation,
Hmm.
but in the inclusiveness that I live, I will say many of us are conditioned to struggle, to conflict,
Mhm.
to opposition. And when we get a taste of happiness,
Mhm.
and when we get a taste of fulfillment, and when we get it, actually
Mhm.
it's scary, it scares us, and
Yes.
we don't know how to deal with it.
Mhm.
So how to get to happiness if you have been encoded on your DNA with all of the struggles, all of the opposition, the pain, and all the 48 negative emotions that are held.
Mhm.
I don't want to share others that never heard this. You heard me talking
Mhm.
about the emotions over the
Yes.
weekend, and we actually have 48 negative emotions in total.
Mhm.
They're distributed in four in groups of
Mhm.
four in each meridian that is connected to each of the main 12 organs
Mm.
in the body.
Mhm.
So what is really important to do is acknowledge, first of all, that we come to a point that we cannot take it
Mhm.
anymore. And before we decide that the best is to exit the body,
Mhm.
well, that's not the solution, because that is going to present itself again in a different
Mhm.
scenario. So what we don't deal with in this body at this moment, it will be presented in a different way, in a different lesson, in another reality, in the
Mhm.
spirit world. So what to do is acknowledge that we need help, and find somebody, or give me a call if you have any questions, how to unlearn, how to deprogram yourself, because
Mhm.
this is the point where we at now. We are at a point where we need to release all social conditioning, all programs,
Mhm.
all all imposed belief systems, whether it's from our immediate family, from the tribe, from and then from the tribe, from society, and sometimes we carry this information from our very own DNA.
Mhm.
So we need to really get hands on and work diligently on ourselves. We are the biggest project we can take on, and we can be the greatest legacy we can leave behind.
Mhm. Yeah, I actually didn't know there was that many negative emotions, because I think we think of the negative emotions. It's like, I guess, sadness, uh, anger, like your top normal ones. But I guess there's all these other ones that people don't have, that don't realize. And but I think also with having these negative emotions that you speak about also impede if you're trying to manifest things into your life as well. Do they create a blockage in receiving stuff, or can you still receive stuff having a negative state?
Well, before I answer that, I just want to say I'm not sure if you know that I'm teaching the emotional tune up with the Egyptian oils workshop on Sunday. And I will
Oh.
talk about in detail all about the 48 negative emotions. And
Mhm.
not only that, the emotional karma,
Mm.
how how we carry karma according to each negative emotion.
Mhm.
So yes, they do block, because we start vibrating at a very low level, and manifestation only
Mhm.
happens in very high levels. Why? Because
Okay.
there is only oneness, and beyond oneness, manifestation is
Mhm.
it could also be said is an art of art of magic. Is why
Mhm.
magic in at work.
Yes.
Why? Because you think about it and it shows up. But why? Because there's nothing in between you and your dream, because you're one with your dream. Hence you have released, let go,
Mhm.
dissolve all of the negative emotions that were preventing you. So would you like to for example, would you like to be an astronaut?
Mhm.
I'm just gonna use that as a
Mhm.
super
Yes.
utopic example.
Mhm.
And but you have lots of fear about being in space.
Mhm.
So even though if it's only one emotion, but there's hardly one emotion, you probably have also insecurity, feeling not unheard, uh, feeling guilty because you might leave others behind.
Mhm.
Um, you may feel frustrated because nobody understands you. You could also feel obsessiveness about being an astronaut, but then all of this become a mixture
Mhm.
of negative emotions
Mhm.
that are blocking what you want to outcome. It's like a recipe.
Mhm.
So to bake a cake, you need all the right ingredients and you need the oven at the right temperature.
Mhm.
So it is the same when you are trying to create and trying to come up with this perfect cake, with this
Mhm.
perfect product. So you nurture it, you feel it in your heart,
Mhm.
and you don't have any hesitation, any fear, any negative
Mhm.
emotion, and you're just
Mhm.
there. In I don't even want to say patiently, because when we talk about patiently, we can also be bringing up there is right timing and there's no right
Mhm.
timing. So anything that entails or implies a duality or two
Mhm.
poles would prevent that outcome from happening, or it could happen but it could take longer.
Yes.
So and sometimes it is not just about you, but
Mhm.
if an outcome involves many people and those people aren't ready, so it has to work in the collective as well.
Mhm. And how would anxiety or depression play a part in manifestation?
Well, anxiety,
Mhm.
well, it's the constant. Well, I'm gonna tell you, anxiety would be like the equivalent of you baking your
Mhm.
cake and going and checking the oven, opening the little door
Okay.
to check if it's ready.
Mhm.
So you're an anxiety. So you know what's happening to that cake, right? It's not growing.
Mhm. Yeah, because you're constantly letting the heat out, so it can't properly do what it needs to
Yeah.
do.
So it's like, okay, you know what? You bake the cake, you put all the ingredients, and you trust. Then you go and do your
Mhm.
manicure, and you forget all about the cake. And then when it's time, you will hear ding.
Mhm.
Is the bell is on? Bell is on.
That's right.
Cake is ready.
Mhm.
And then so in other words, I have had experiences when I just think about something and I never think about it again, and
Mhm.
then boom,
Yep.
2 days later or a day later,
Mhm.
oh, I totally forgot I wanted that.
Mhm.
Because the other rule is never a need,
Mhm.
it's a preference.
Oh, okay. Yes.
That
Yeah.
that's another key.
Mhm.
It is a preference. I would like it, but I don't need it. So
Mhm.
I try for the most part not to use the word need in my
Mhm.
reality.
But I think it's also the same too with want. I want this. I want that. Like you
The
say.
want and the need.
Exactly.
Exactly. The want and the need. So, for example, I teach a yoga that takes care of the wants and the
Mhm.
needs in a posture.
Ah.
And it may seem like, oh wow, that's like absolutely, just having the
Mhm.
vocabulary, it gives you a different perspective into it. So there is a tapping around the
Mhm.
eyes that happens, and then you release the wants and the needs.
Ah.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, it's very interesting because I guess a lot of people, there's a lot of things that people don't realize, and just these simple things, and you think, well, I'm unhappy because I'm not getting what I want. But the thing is, I think you're really not living in your moment and being having gratitude for everything in that moment, and for the people around you and the things that you are getting. It's like you more concentrate on what you don't have or you don't want than being grateful for what you do have, when you can manifest more. I think when you're in a state of gratitude and appreciation and love and bliss, and always living to your highest excitement as well.
So I want to, since you mentioned two out of the three attitudes of ascension,
Mhm.
I like to say that those three attitudes of ascension are key,
Mhm.
not only in the evolution of consciousness, but also in the evolution
Mhm.
of um, onto
Mhm.
manifesting what we desire. So, which are praise,
Mhm.
love, and gratitude.
Yes.
Praise is an attitude of the spirit,
Mhm.
love is the attitude of the soul,
Mhm.
and gratitude is the attitude of the body, of the physicality.
Mm.
And in physicality, it's much
Mhm.
easier to to experience and to live gratitude.
Yeah.
But if we were to live gratitude every moment for 24 hours
Mhm.
without skipping a beat,
Yes.
we will get into love,
Mhm.
and then love will bring us into praise.
Mm.
And this is the endless
Mhm.
cycle to enter into a magnificent bliss.
Mhm. So.
And the cells in our body, just let me just add this little
Mhm.
bit, the cells in our body, they expand and they are filled with light.
Mm.
So instead of being small, they expand, our being expands, our faces transform, there is luminosity coming from our faces.
Yes.
And just to make a parallel to that, incidentally, what
Mhm.
is cancer is lack of light in the cells. So the cells are in the
Mhm.
dark. That's what cancer is
Yes.
in one of the
Mhm.
definitions.
Mm. So with going into emotions, so what really, can you talk a little bit about, this is one emotion I think that a lot of people don't talk about, is shame. Where does it come from? What it does it do to you if it manifests in your body? Can it have any positive or negative effects?
Well, shame is an emotion that blocks the stomach meridian, Brad.
Mm-hmm.
And shame is usually well, the root of all these negative emotions, they either come in the
Mm-hmm.
package from a previous incarnation or
Yes.
incarnations, or is also learned from our immediate family and society.
Mm-hmm.
And you know in the older days, teachers had a very important role. I
Mm-hmm.
would say they had more authority to discipline the kids at school,
Yes.
so they would have a lot to do with putting the kids into shame.
Mm. Yeah.
So parents, and even just saying it, like
Yeah.
talk to some adults and how they go, oh, shame on you.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. And that's really a
Mm-hmm.
vibration you want to stay out. Shame on you.
Mm-hmm.
Let's explore what it is.
Yeah.
Shame on you speaks about, I want to explore this and delve deeper because I haven't really delved at this level
Mm-hmm.
as you're asking
Yes.
me. So shame says you could have done better,
Mm-hmm.
but you failed to.
Ah.
Therefore, you're a failure.
Mm-hmm.
So you fail to give your best, and we know it.
Mm-hmm.
So underneath all that, there's also like the label of lazy.
Mm-hmm.
It could be like lazy, you're not putting your best foot forward.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And it really blocks, that's one of the four emotions
Mm-hmm.
that blocks the stomach meridian.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the oil that releases with the acupressure point is a sandalwood.
Mm.
So we are going to delve into that on
Mm-hmm.
Sunday, and you're welcome to join.
Yeah.
It is fabulous information to have
Mm-hmm.
about ourselves,
Yeah. So if
because
people are watching right now, can you let them know, like if anybody's in the Toronto, Ontario area, where are you holding this, or how can they get a hold of you in order to attend?
well, they can send me, they can message me here, or send me a message on my direct message on my page
Mm-hmm.
on Facebook, Sandra Saradesi, and it's in Toronto on Queens Quay and Bathurst,
Mm-hmm.
between Spadina and Bathurst in downtown Toronto. It's a
Okay.
whole day event,
Mm-hmm.
and we are going to explore all the 48 points, the
Mm-hmm.
oils, the flower cloth,
Mm-hmm.
how to release them, and also learn about their karmic
Oh
repercussions.
wow. Wow. So I guess with karma too, that's a big thing for people, I guess, to understand how karma works, where it comes from, is there good karma, bad karma, or just even what karma
Well,
is, right? Because you
well,
always hear the
there's
expressions too,
actually,
right? Karma comes
yeah,
around.
they love it. Yeah, 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 yeah. I tell you, there's not such a thing as good karma.
Okay.
If it's a good, it would not be karma, it would be
I
dharma.
see. Oh, okay. Dharma or karma. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So, and if it's there's no, it's not a bad
No.
or it's not a good.
Mhm.
If a karma presents itself,
Yes.
it's because there is a lesson,
Mhm.
there is a lesson that was not learned
Okay.
before,
Mhm.
and then we have the opportunity to take in that lesson again
Mhm.
and go to the next level.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
if we don't take it the first time, it's gonna keep showing up. That's why people wonder, why do I keep attracting the same partner? Why? Because you haven't really learned all what you needed to learn from that experience.
Mhm. Exactly.
But
Exactly. I think.
but if we are in with internal dialogue,
Mhm.
with busyness, with thoughts that we can't really control, they're controlling
Mhm.
us. So it's awareness does not exist in a busy head.
No, exactly. Exactly. Because you have so much going on. And I think it's the same. It's finding being that like eye in the storm. So the eye in the storm is always calm. So stuff can go on and on around you, but if you're in your solitude, you can be like in that moment. Yes, everything's going on, but it's not affecting you in the same way because a lot of it, and this expression has been said before, it's not what happens to you, it's how you choose to react to it, right? So you can there, I don't think any situation is good or bad. It's kind of how you label it and what lessons you take from it. Same with the people that come in and out of your life. Same thing. Some are meant to be there for a moment, some a lifetime, and some, just a time in between to learn those lessons that you need, and then they go on, or they learn from you the lessons they need to learn, and they move on as well.
So they are good point you're talking about. I lost a little bit what you were saying, but I
Hmm.
know the gist of it
Yes.
is you were talking about having opposition.
Yes.
So I want to say that the less opposition you have in your life or in your heart,
Hmm.
the faster and the quicker manifestation will show up
Mm.
in at your doorstep.
Okay. Yes.
So why? Because you're not fighting
Hmm.
anything. You are part of it. You're in the flow.
Hmm.
And the more we resist something, the more it will persist.
Okay.
So we also have personal karma. We have the karma of our country, the
Hmm.
karma of our culture,
Hmm.
the karma of the family. So, I have studied
Hmm.
different families and what is a common denominator,
Hmm.
a karmically.
Hmm.
And it is such a thing. So we have different levels of karma.
Mm.
So it is interesting to observe and without judgment,
Hmm.
because when we start entering into judgment, manifestation delays.
Mm. And I think judgment is one of those big, big things because I think a lot of us judge without even really knowing it. We're just so naturally, or I think some of it you learn, I think, from your parents as well. So what they like, you like. What they don't like, you don't like, and you just kind of pick up those attributes. But we tend to judge, I mean, people very easily. Well, you like this color? Oh, well, I don't. So you judge them on that rather than just being in your flow state, and you allow, just to be mindful and be in the moments.
Exactly. So it is important that we acknowledge that cutting the cords from
Mhm.
everybody, absolutely no exception, is important, so
Mhm.
that we can be self-sovereign beings and live our own truth and not the truth of
Mhm.
anyone else's.
Yeah, so this we're just gonna make it short because now we're getting close to a little bit later. But one last thing that I'd like to do is, can you talk a little bit more? I think we should finish off, and if you have an exercise for core cutting, what it is, and kind of how it's done, and for anybody watching, how would you cut the cords, and why would you need to cut the cords?
um well, the cutting the cords doesn't mean that you are cutting a relationship. What you are
Hmm.
saying is that you are interested in having your relationship at a higher level, in
Hmm.
which there is no codependency.
Mm.
There is not based out of need. It is not
No.
based out of um, insecurity because I feel that you compliment me.
Mhm.
And this goes on a lot with couples, partners,
Mhm.
you know, in marriages,
Mhm.
siblings, parents, children.
Mhm.
The list goes on. I mean, we may be courted by our grandmother that passed like 10 years ago.
Mhm. Mhm. And you still have a
So,
tie to
you
that
know,
that person, or
and
that
you have a
I
tie
guess,
because
yeah, some old relationships, some friends, some people that may be negative influences in your life, maybe some connections to narcissistic persons. You can have all that. I think some energy vampires. I think those are good things that you need to cut the cords on, the theoretical cords that separate that connection. Maybe past relationships that have now you've grown apart and you need to cut, or as I say, like your family ties, any negativity, things like that, you would need to break clean from. And I think a lot of that energy, once it's attached, kind of can bring you down or influence you in a way that you don't even know it's happening to you, but that energy is really draining you in your everyday life and affecting decisions.
absolutely
Yeah.
it drains you. You will feel it. So, in terms of what exercise I do, what I recommend the most is the angelic healing of the Belvaspata,
Mhm.
which I've been practicing over 12
Mm.
years, and it deals with absolutely any distortion, discordant frequencies, imbalance.
Mhm.
I mean, it deals from depression all the way onto schizophrenia, autism, Down
Mhm.
syndrome, like all the terminal illness.
Yes.
Um, I mean, even even as something as like silence in the mind,
Mhm.
which is the biggest deal for humanity,
Yes.
especially now that we're bombarded
Mhm.
with so much stimuli and so much the electronics, and we just pretty much trying to escape, but we're not being successful. So
Mhm.
Belva Kata for me is the answer
Mhm.
to absolutely everything.
Yes.
Is white magic brought by the angels,
Mhm.
and is been given by the seer Almin.
Mhm.
She received it in 2006, and
Mhm.
I've been practicing Belvaspata,
Mhm.
which means healing of the heart in the angelic languages,
Mhm.
since 2007.
Mhm.
And I am more than delighted to say that I have brought Belvaspata to many points in the earth in different languages, and I cannot imagine my life without this incredible light in my life, which is these angels that like guide me
Mhm.
and offer me support and have opened me up into
Mhm.
into many ways
Yes, and
to live a life of no
mhm.
opposites.
And I
Yes,
imagine that you see incredible transformations from the people that you work with.
absolutely, absolutely. From the very first
Mm.
sessions, yes. And
Mm.
from the short sessions that I was offering at the Hell Show in
Mhm.
Toronto last weekend.
Mhm.
So yes, indeed.
Amazing, amazing. So
So
we're gonna wrap now, just because it's getting on, and we would like to keep this a little bit tight, but we can definitely have you on again. So if anybody has any questions, make sure you put them on the comments below if you're watching live now or you're seeing on the replay. We'll have information there where you can connect with our guest, Sandra Saradesi. And then, but as I say, if you have any questions in the meantime, you've been watching this live, Facebook Live here on The Wellness of Being with Brad Poirier. You can list your comments below, and we'll be sure to respond to you, either a private message or put it on the feed as well. And then, so I'm going to say, Sandra, if you have a couple little, so tonight's been all about manifesting your dreams. So what is your, I guess, some words of wisdom towards that topic, and what's the best way for people to manifest their dreams?
manifest your dream through a silent mind. Spend time alone. Spend time in silence, even if it's 10 minutes before you go to bed. Live consciously. Go to bed in consciousness, in full consciousness, and say a mantra if you want to remember your dreams, whatever it is that you want to manifest in dream time. And when you awaken, make sure that you come up with a plan where you don't jump out of bed. You take time in stillness to start manifesting your reality and start every day fresh, every moment fresh is the only way to keep your sanity through the eyes of a child, through innocent eyes.
Yes, that's wonderful. I think that's the best advice ever. So I want to say thank you for joining us this evening on this Facebook Live. So if you were watching the beginning, it took a little bit of us to manifest this, but it did happen. So we got on the same frequency. We made it happen.
We needed some other ingredients that otherwise we would not have had.
That's that's right. If we got a special kind of cake bacon.
Exactly. It is a burning recipe in the oven. I can smell it.
That's
I can smell it. I can smell it. So remember to trust.
hmm Exactly, exactly. So we want to thank you all for watching tonight. I thank you, Sandra, for being a wonderful co-host with me this evening. And as I say, if you like watching, we want to say thank you. So thank you, Jen. Thank you, Britt. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you for all the ones that have been on tonight. I thank you for coming. If there's more
I
things
want
you
to
want to
say, I
know,
want to
yep.
say, I want to interrupt because my friend from high school back home in Nicaragua, she's tuning in. Jasmine, I love you, and
Uh,
I love my beautiful Jen. So there were other few people that were tuning in earlier, and
hmm
they're all in my heart. You know who you are.
hmm Yeah, and that's amazing. And as I say, it's manifesting that love and manifesting that, because your main thing is about healing the heart. And I think for me personally, healing the heart, I think the stronger the heart, it has a bigger vibration than even the brain in life. And I think it's always follow your heart, follow your dreams, as opposed to follow your mind, which can also have a lot of extra thoughts, because we have thousands of thoughts per minute per second, but I think the heart always knows. And so with that, we're going to close. We had some wonderful words from Sandra Saradesi, intuitive healer, great speaker, wonderful all around, amazing, amazing person. If you get a chance to see her live, I would suggest that you do so. An amazing healer, which I myself have had her services personally, so I can vouch that she knows her stuff. and you know
Thank you, Brad.
but thank you
Thank you.
guys, and bless you all. Put in the comments if you enjoyed this. Make sure you share this with others. So if there's a message in here that inspired you, please share it on your Facebook wall, and that we can bring you more of this type of content if you enjoyed it. But any questions you have, feel free to comment below. We love you all, and we'll see you next time.